Are you sure you don't want me to come in with you?
No.
Sandra's just checking his weight, Mrs. Fletcher. Now, how are you feeling yourself?
Oh, fine.
You're looking a little tired. Are you sleeping properly?
Well, he still wakes up in the night.
You must try and get some rest in the afternoons.
It's not that.
No?
Doctor, there's something I have to ask.
Yes?
Well, I've been married for 15 years. I'd really given up hope of a baby.
Things just happen that way sometimes. Did you ever consult anybody about it, you and your husband? I see you were with Dr. Abel before you came to me.
Yes.
Did you ever consult Dr. Abel about it?
No, we assumed that it was me, that I couldn't.
Well, evidently you can.
Yes.
If you're wondering whether or not you could have another child, I
no,
see no reason.
Doctor, please.
What is it, Mrs. Fletcher?
Doctor, my baby,
Yes?
is there any way of finding out who the father is?
You're sure that there is some doubt, bearing in mind when you probably conceived?
Yes. I mean, I'm sure. Well, looking back and... No, I don't know. I really don't. Can you tell?
Well, it's possible.
Well, I want to know. I must know.
I can refer you to the serologist at the hospital who can take blood tests. I see that Dr. Abel hasn't made a note of your blood group.
Well, no, not like that. I don't want to go to a hospital. I don't mind paying. That's not important.
Mrs. Fletcher, is your marriage very unhappy?
Well, materially, I have everything I could wish for.
That's not what I asked.
No. Oh. It's hard to say, really. I suppose my husband would say I had no reason. Though, to be fair, he's been much better lately.
Since when?
Since the baby was born. Well, he has a boy, a son. At least if it is his.
This doubt.
It's not knowing.
I said that the child could be your husband's.
Well, yes, he could be. Although...
Mrs. Fletcher, it's not up to me to influence you in any way. Only you can decide whether it would be for the best. But what you have in mind could alter everything. Perhaps you'd better think it over again before you decide.
She wants me to think it over before I decide.
Is there anything to think over?
Perhaps.
If you have time, I could give you some tea.
All right.
Thanks, sir.
John, I may have rather a difficult... Oh, hello, Inspector.
Mrs. Hardy. Rather difficult what?
No, never mind. Later will do, when you're free.
Well, the inspector and I have just got one or two loose ends to clear up.
It shouldn't take too long.
Oh, an hour or two at the most. Will you have a drink?
No, not now. I'll have one with you later. I won't disturb you now. Bye, Inspector.
We'll try and get a move on, Mrs. Hardy.
Well, perhaps we'd better get down to work.
Yes, but do you mind if I phone Sergeant Ash first?
If you must.
Please, maid. There you are.
Thank you.
Sandwich.
No, I won't eat anything. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Oh, I wish I knew.
Look, Ruth, if you don't want to... Well, what you want, that's what matters. If you're happy as things are...
Happiness isn't the point.
Isn't it?
What should I do?
What you want. That's what you should do.
I need to be told.
Well, I'm not very good at that, Ruth.
Ever since I became pregnant, I think Harry's really tried. I suppose if he'd always been like that.
We wouldn't be here.
But suppose he's our son.
Look, Ruth, if we're going to go on with this and find out for certain...
Well, I want to be sure.
Well, your husband will have to know eventually.
Oh, he mustn't.
Well, there you are, you see, Ruth. In your heart, you still think that David might not be mine.
Oh, God, what a mess.
Now, so far, there's no committal. No decision.
Perhaps he's changed. Perhaps people can change after all.
I know.
I use you. I hurt you, and you just take it. Sometimes I think you're a born victim.
Perhaps.
Oh, no, I didn't mean that.
Look, let's just say that you're going to think about it, that's all.
That's what you'd like, wouldn't it? Do nothing. No unpleasantness. That's what you really want.
There's no need to invent a quarrel, Ruth.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Look. All you have to say to me is... you've changed your mind.
Harry! Yeah, hang on a moment, will you? Bill, you remember Harry Fletcher from our sales department, don't you?
I met last year, didn't we, Harry?
That's right. How are you, Bill?
Fine. Looks as though I might be putting quite a bit of business your way.
That's great. Glad to hear it. Look, Bill's at a bit of a loose end tonight. I thought we might have a few drinks, a bite to eat, and then go to that place, you know, and see the show.
Yeah, I've heard about this show. Can't wait.
As a matter of fact, I was just on my way home. Reformed character, Harry, since he became a father.
Still one of the boys at heart, though, I'll guarantee.
Well, you know how it is when you finally ring the bell after 15 years.
Not for want of trying, though, eh?
My favourite sport. Well, you can give the little woman a buzz later on and tell her you're entertaining a very important client, eh?
Yeah, entertainment, that's the key word. And I hear you know all about that, Harry.
You're right, Bill. I have to admit that you're right.
We might be able to sort out something definite in between. Yeah. There's nothing like mixing business and pleasure, eh?
Well, I suppose I don't mind a bit of an evening out, to tell the truth. It breaks the monotony, doesn't it? Well, let's settle it. Lead on, Harry. We're in your hands. We'll go in your car, shall we? Right.
What sort of a woman is she?
Well, she's respectable. Suburban, middle class.
My experience, respectability, regardless of whether it is suburban or middle class, is no guide to what a person may do.
Anyway, I said I'd ask you if you'd handle it. She wants it done privately, discreetly.
There comes a point when that is impossible.
No, but in the beginning. John!
Well, has the husband any suspicions?
Apparently not, but she insists that she wants to know the truth.
Oh, the truth, yes, certainly. I'm always concerned with the truth. The truth at all costs, I'm not so sure. Occasionally the truth can be allowed to lie fallow. Of course, I don't know the circumstances.
No, nor do I, not in detail.
Then, establishing the truth might have results that none of us could calculate. May I have my book back?
I tried to explain that to her. I must say, she didn't seem quite so determined when she left. She's going to telephone me in the morning.
Ah.
I think she may very well change her mind, as a matter of fact.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello? Oh, Harry. Yes? Yes, I see. Yes, well, I was going to bed anyway. Yes, already. I'm feeling a bit tired. I thought I'd get an early night. Yes, of course. Right. I'll see you in the morning. Good night.
To write home about? Bit tame, if you ask me.
Well, it's another warm-up. To arouse interest, you might say. Gets better as they go along.
Glad to hear it.
Well, you wait. Last two girls? Great. You wait.
If you've ever seen anything like this before, then all I can say is you've been places you shouldn't.
David's crying. I must go and see to him.
Oh, shut up and lie still. Just lie still, that's all.
Dr. Hardy? Oh, yes. Good morning, Mrs. Fletcher.
Good morning, Doctor. I'm sorry to bother you, but could I come and see your husband as soon as possible? Yes. Yes, if you would.
I see. Well, will you hold on for a minute, and I'll find out what time would be convenient?
Oh, I thought you'd gone.
If you got up in the mornings, you'd know whether I'd gone or not.
I was awake most of the night. Do you want some breakfast?
I want some aspirin. It ought to be in the bathroom cabinet. Where the devil have you put them?
They're on the dressing table.
Oh, there you are. John, it's Mrs. Fletcher on the phone. Could you see her today?
Mrs. who?
Mrs. Fletcher. You know, I was telling you about her last night.
Oh, yes, the woman who's going to change her mind.
Will you be free or not?
Yes. After lunch.
4 o'clock?
Yes.
Good.
Hello? Yeah. 4 o'clock this afternoon? Yes, that's fine. Thank you. Thank you.
What's that?
The doctor.
Huh? What's she want?
I was ringing her for an appointment.
Oh, it's all. You saw her yesterday, didn't you?
Another appointment.
Why, something wrong?
No.
Nothing wrong with young David, is there?
No, it's just a routine test, that's all. There's nothing wrong with him.
I shall be back about midday. Pack a suitcase for me, will you? Got to go to London for a day or two.
Well, which? A day or two?
Well, I'm not sure. It was quite a session last night. Well, I'm not quite clear on the details of what was arranged, but a man called Carter's placing a big order. I got to go and work on it. Well, that's all that matters.
Yes.
Well, the amount I put away, it's a miracle I can remember that much. I haven't had a night out like that for a long time.
Hello? Oh, hello, Ruth. Well, another 2 minutes and I'd have been gone. I was just... What? I see. No, it was just that yesterday...
But that was yesterday. Oh, no, nothing's happened exactly. Well, nothing new, anyway. Look, I've made an appointment with Dr. Hardy at 4 o'clock this afternoon, all right?
Ruth, I can't make it then. Oh, hello? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry, Michael. I've just been thinking about myself. I've been taking too much for granted. No, listen, please. Look, I don't want you to feel under any obligation. I can easily ring up and cancel.
No, Ruth, please, look. I'm not trying to invent an excuse. It's just that at 4 o'clock I've got to see someone from head office and my district manager. Look, you go. Yes, you go and say that I can attend any time tomorrow. No, there's nothing to think over. Any time tomorrow.
He's awake.
He's tired for his feet.
Benson suggested Marlborough College for him, did I tell you?
No?
Well, Benson's boy goes there. He said we ought to put his name down.
There's plenty of time for that.
Well, I don't know. Decent schools have a waiting list a mile long. Fine, let's go. Bring you a present from London.
No.
What?
I don't want any presents, Harry.
You're being funny.
No. Just don't want you spending money on me, that's all.
You let me spend money on you for 15 years.
Don't let's quarrel now, please.
I didn't start it. You've got a lot to be grateful for. You want to remember that.
Come in, Mrs. Fletcher. This is my husband. John, it's Mrs. Fletcher.
How do you do?
Doctor?
Do sit down.
Thank you. I've left David outside in the pram. Shall I bring him in now?
No, not just yet.
I was explaining to your wife that Mr. Jackson, the other man concerned, couldn't be here today.
I see. Now, Mrs. Fletcher, what is it you want to know?
Well, I want to know whose son David really is.
Yes, well, queries of this sort generally arise regarding custody of the child, a divorce case, for instance, which I take it is not in question at the moment. Paternity tests are not simple, and the consequences to those concerned, including the child, are unforeseeable. So could you give me some idea of the circumstances?
What do you mean, how we met?
Yes, yes.
Well, I first met Michael, Mr. Jackson, when he called at the house one day. My husband had made inquiries about a savings plan, and Michael was their representative. My husband wasn't in that day.
So you discussed the matter with him?
Well, not exactly, but we talked. I thought him very pleasant, a nice man, no more than that. Well, he called twice more, I think, when my husband was at home, but my husband decided against the idea.
But I am right in assuming that you have met subsequently.
Yes. Yes, a week or two later I met Michael by accident. I usually have coffee 2 or 3 times a week when I've been shopping at Hallam's. I expect you know it.
Yes, I do.
Well, we talked, and the next week Michael was there again. And then, well, we never exactly arranged to meet, but every time he was there. Well, I found him kind and gentle. All the things that... Well, anyway.
You became lovers?
Well, I'd been married for 15 years. I thought I was sterile. In fact, my husband used to link that, when we had a quarrel, with my coldness, as he put it.
That's absurd, of course.
And soon after you became lovers, you found that you were pregnant?
Well, no, it was nearly a year after. If it had happened right away, I would have guessed. But, well, as it was, I didn't.
Why not?
Well, when my husband insists on his rights, it doesn't happen very often, as a matter of fact, but when it does, I tend to remember. It was after one such occasion, the first in many weeks. It was after that. First of all, I thought I was just late, and then I realized I was pregnant.
I see. What did you do then?
Michael and I stopped seeing each other. I thought the obvious thoughts that whatever my marriage was like, there was the baby.
Why have you become uncertain at this stage?
But David, my baby, it seems to me that I can see Michael in him. Well, perhaps nobody else would, but... Well, anyway, I'm not sure, and I need to be sure.
Mrs. Fletcher, I can't promise you anything. I can't prove who is the father. I might be able to prove who is not the father, but the results could be inconclusive.
But could they be conclusive?
Are you sure that you want them to be? And if the child is in fact your husband's, and from what you say that could well be the case...
Well, then I shall stay with my husband.
And if Mr. Jackson is the father?
Well, Michael and I have talked about this. Soon after the baby was born, when I really began to wonder, I rang him and we met. If the baby is his, then I shall leave my husband and get a divorce.
Mrs. Fletcher, it does occur to me that if this is how you feel about divorce...
I do. I love Michael.
Yes, but you were lovers for a whole year before you became pregnant, and during that time you did not leave your husband.
Well, the truth is, Doctor, I suppose that neither Michael nor I are very brave people. It's only the thought of the baby, that it might be his child.
You afraid of your husband?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know why, but I am.
Now, Mrs. Fletcher, all that you have done so far is to speak in confidence to my wife and to me, and we can let the matter rest at that. But if you really want me to make a serious attempt to discover the parentage of your child, I can't really tell you what may happen. You see, you know how much your own marriage is in question. I have not met Mr. Jackson. He is not here.
Oh, he couldn't be here today.
No, but still I will have to see him.
Oh, he will come.
You are quite sure you want me to proceed?
Please, Doctor.
Right, but then there is one other matter. As I have said, positive proof of paternity is almost impossible. We depend upon the elimination of the man or the men who could not be the father. Now, I must know if you have given me all the possibilities.
Yes, I have.
I'm going to take a blood sample, Mrs. Fletcher, first from you and then from the baby. Do sit down.
Mr. Jackson could come any time tomorrow.
My husband will establish the blood groups. And from that, we may be able to tell if Mr. Jackson could be the father of the child or not.
You won't need to see my husband yet, will you? Not yet, please.
No, not yet. You roll up your sleeve, please. Now, if it can be established that Mr. Jackson could not be the father of the child, I assume that that would satisfy you.
Yes. Hello, Michael. It's me. I've seen Dr. Hardy. Yes, and I've made an appointment for you tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. You said any time, so I said that would be all right. Good. How did your meeting go? What, don't just say all right. Tell me about it. I want you to talk to me, that's all. Just talk to me, that's all.
Mr. Jackson has arrived, Doctor. I've asked him to wait in the sitting room.
All right. Child. Group A. That's Dr. Hardy.
How do you do, Doctor?
How do you do? Do sit down.
Thank you.
Michael Jackson is your full name?
Yes.
Address?
Flat 1, 48 Seymour Road.
Age?
41. Insurance advisor. I give advice to people planning insurance and savings. Well, of course, all I'm supposed to do is sell policies for my company.
Just a matter of purely personal interest. Do you ever advise them not to bother?
Oh, yes. I don't like to sell things to people that they don't need.
Single or married?
Single. I was married for 5 years, but my wife... Well, I was working in a bank at that time, and she thought that I had very little ambition, which I suppose is true. She was very pretty. She met someone, and we were divorced. Then that was when I stopped working in the bank. Well, everything had changed. I didn't want to go on with the same people.
Were there any children?
No children. In fact, that's...
Yes?
That's what I'm not sure about with David, whether he can be my child.
What, because of your childless marriage?
Well, when it came to the break, when my wife said she was going to leave me, she laid some stress on that aspect of our marriage. There was very little dignity in the proceedings, I'm afraid.
And has your wife married subsequently?
Oh, yes.
Did she have any children?
I don't know. He was going to take a job abroad somewhere. I don't even know where they are now.
Tell me, did you ever try to discover the reasons for the childless marriage and maybe find some remedy?
No, Doctor, you see, until that moment, I never knew that my wife wanted a baby. Material things, perhaps, but not a baby. Well, I think it was just something to say at the time, a reason. And then after my divorce, my fertility wasn't exactly the subject uppermost in my mind.
Quite, yeah. Well, we may be able to tell whether you could be the father, but that is all.
Hello?
Hello. How did it go?
Very well. Should mean a good bonus. How's David?
Fine.
I bought this for him. Oh, well, come to look at it, I think I got a bit carried away. Still, he'd grow into it, won't he?
Yes, well, Michael Jackson is Group A. Now, tell me, where do we stand? Let me check up.
The mother, blood group O.
Yes?
And the baby, blood group A.
Right. Mr. Jackson and your baby have the same blood group.
Then that means that Michael must be the father.
Means that he could be, not that he is.
You mean my husband still could be the father?
Let me explain. Your baby is Group A. You are Group O. But one of the parents must have the same blood group as the child. Well, we know that Mr. Jackson has the same blood group, but your husband could be Group A as well. Now, if you wish me to proceed any further, I must see your husband.
What can I tell him?
The truth?
Well, no, not until I'm sure. I couldn't face that.
You're quite certain that you can't face it?
Yes, I'm sure.
Well, I'm very sorry. There's nothing more that I can do. Good day.
Mrs. Fletcher, your husband will have to know eventually.
Well, not until I'm certain. Isn't there any other way of finding out someone's blood group?
Well, possibly.
What?
Well, it could be from a cigarette end or a used handkerchief.
A handkerchief?
Yes, it's usually possible to establish primary blood groups from the mucus on a used handkerchief.
Doctor,
Oh, come in, Mrs. Fletcher.
I've told your husband.
Thank you, Sandra. Do sit down. My husband won't be a moment.
Thank you. Does he have the result?
Yes.
Well, may I know? Can you tell me?
Well, there's something that my husband wants to explain to you.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Fletcher.
Good afternoon.
My wife gave me a handkerchief, which I have submitted to certain tests. Now, the person who used that handkerchief belonged to blood group B.
B.
Yes.
Well, you said that I was Group O and that both the baby and Michael were Group A.
That is so.
Well, then that means that Harry couldn't be the father. That proves it.
I'm afraid it doesn't, Mrs. Fletcher.
But if he's Group B...
If Mr. Fletcher is Group B, then certainly he cannot be the father, but we've not yet established that.
Well, I'm sorry, Doctor, I don't understand.
Look, that handkerchief may give a very strong indication to you, but it does not constitute proof. You tell me that it was your husband's handkerchief.
Oh, it was, I promise you.
I'm sure it was, but quite apart from that, I do not know if somebody other than your husband may not have used it.
Oh, but surely, Doctor, it is certain, really.
Look, you may draw whatever conclusions you like, and those conclusions may be right, but they would never stand up in a court of law.
Mrs. Fletcher, all along, right from the start, you've insisted that you didn't want your husband to know about your suspicions.
Well, not until I was positive, no.
Well, my husband has done all that he can now. We know that Mr. Jackson could be the father of the child, and we know that the man who used that handkerchief could not be.
But it was my husband's handkerchief. And he wouldn't lend it to someone else. He wouldn't do that.
I'm sure he wouldn't, Mrs. Fletcher. But to be positive, I must see your husband. Only then can I be certain.
Come in, come in. How long have we been waiting outside?
Well, I phoned. They said you were out. They'd contact you.
Well, I've only just got your message.
Michael, I've been to Dr. Hardy. David is your son.
They found out from the handkerchief?
It couldn't be Harry.
I see. Well...
Yes?
Well, that's settled. Sit down, sit down. I think you better stay here now, not go home.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Now, does Dr. Hardy want to see your husband?
Only for confirmation. There's no doubt. Not really.
Well, we better get it over with. Tell him today.
Michael, I could leave. Just leave and come to you. And then after the divorce, we could get married.
You mean not tell him that David's
Yes.
not his child?
Yes.
I think he's got to be told.
Why?
Well, if he's not sure that David's not his, he might try and get custody.
He might.
You told me how proud he is of the boy.
Yes, but surely they wouldn't give him custody. They usually give it to the mother.
Is usually enough?
No. Oh, you're right.
Well, I'll go now.
He won't be home yet.
Or I'll wait outside.
I don't know how he'll take it.
And sure?
Yes. There'll be a scene. Harry can be very unpleasant.
Well, with reason. He's had no warning.
Michael, I could write. I could go and get a few clothes and leave a note.
Oh, dear. We used to talk about your leaving Harry, do you remember? Before the baby came. That's all it ever was, just talk.
Son, no.
Now, look, when you first went to Dr. Hardy, we knew where this might lead. He ought to be told the truth. It's got to be done.
Yes. Well, in that case, it's up to me.
No, you stay here.
Well, you don't want to, do you?
Want to? No, how could anybody want to? And I've got to.
We'll both go.
Mr. Fletcher,
Do I know you?
Michael Jackson.
Oh, yes, the insurance fellow. Don't want any, I told you that.
Look, it's about your wife, Ruth.
Ruth?
Ruth. Mr. Fletcher, I don't quite know how to say this. Perhaps I ought to begin by saying I'm sorry. But if I'm to be honest, I'm not, really.
Ruth, what's going on? What's she doing with you?
David isn't your child. Ruth and I were lovers. He's mine.
You must be out of your mind.
We've had blood tests, the three of us, from a pathologist, Dr. Hardy. Now he wants to see you.
Are you raving mad?
Look, she's leaving you. The blood test is only a formality. We're certain already.
Your child? It can't be your child. How can it be your child?
For God's sake, man. Because Ruth and I have been sleeping together.
If there was a word of truth in all this, a word of truth, I ought to kill you here and now.
You'd better go and see Dr. Hardy, Mr. Fletcher, and find out the truth for yourself.
I've never given her any cause. None at all. Nice house. She could buy what she liked within reason. And a fellow like that, peddling insurance policies. You've only got to look at him to see failure written all over him.
Now, would you kindly hold on to that for me? Hold on tight. Clench your fist. Pump away. That's right.
This is just a trick, you know that, don't you?
Oh, what way?
Now, if she wants him, all right, let her get on with it. I don't give a damn. But my son? Well, she won't get away with that. Mine, of course, is mine.
Right.
Well, you'll know, won't you? I mean, this'll show.
Can't tell yet.
Would you like some more coffee?
No, thank you.
I can easily make some more.
I should be doing that for you.
I don't mind. I'm used to it.
You'll have to stop treating me like a guest, a visitor. I'll have to stop behaving like one.
Would you like a drink?
No, thank you. I think I'll phone now. Hello? Hello, Mrs. Hardy. This is Ruth Fletcher again. I'm sorry to keep troubling you, but I wondered if... Yes. Yes, if you would. She's fetching him. Hello? Dr. Hardy? I wondered if you... Yes. Yes. Yes, I see. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. He's certain.
It's not possible. I don't believe it.
Let me explain again. The blood group...
Oh, the hell with the blood group!
Now, kindly don't adopt that sort of tone with me, Mr. Fletcher. Do you want me to explain or don't you?
Yes.
Then try and control yourself. Your wife's blood group is O. The baby's is group A. Mr. Jackson's is A. And yours is B.
Things like this, you can get mixed up. Mistakes can be made.
Not by me, Mr. Fletcher. Blood grouping is an everyday test as far as I am concerned. It is my job not to make mistakes, and I can assure you none have been made.
Doctor, you get married. And perhaps after a while things aren't quite what you'd expected. You settle into a kind of rut, way of living. She must hate me. Really hate me.
I don't think so.
But a boy, he can start thinking about his school, how he's going to grow up. What I'm trying to say...
Well, I know what you're trying to say. But you've got to face the truth. You cannot be David's father. He is not your son.
Yes.
just fetching some clothes. Just some clothes, that's all.
Good to see him. Look, I'll manage those if you take David.
Get that bastard child out of my sight. You'll pay for this. You listening? You'll pay for this. It's fair if I've got anything to do with it. Talk about that in bed tonight.